is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Florida.
And this guy was
South Florida tonight, baseball tonight. Marlins getting ready. A live shot from the Goodyear blimp as the Fish and the Cardinals get ready to go. The Marlins have dipped a couple under the 500 mark. The Cardinals in the heat of the Central and the wild card race. And the Marlins coming off maybe their most disappointing loss of the season on Andre Dawson night here at the ballpark. The Hawk will be joining us in the fourth inning. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. For the Marlins, real tough night last night for a lot of reasons. Obviously, the call by Bob Davidson has been replayed and rehashed. But the Marlins didn't play well, Tommy. They didn't pitch well. They had some defensive mistakes. How does this ball club react to everything that happened last night, walking into a series against a good team?
Rich, I look at it this way. If you and I can rebound after that last night, the ball club can rebound, and that's what they have to do, all kidding aside. When you have adversity, such as last night, if you expect to be a good team, you have to rebound from that, and it's not going to be easy against the Cardinals and Wainwright.
For the Marlins, though, they do have their best two pitchers going in the first two games of this series. And tonight, it's Ricky Nolasco, and he's been on quite a roll right now. Not dominant in terms of ERA, but in wins and losses, absolutely.
Hey, don't look now, but Ricky Nolasco is tied for fourth in the National League with 12 wins. What an outing in San Diego. 8 1/3, gave up 5 hits and 3 runs. Had the opportunity to complete the game, just couldn't quite finish it off, but he was magnificent. Speaking of magnificent, he's been that in his last 3 outings. Look at the numbers in his last 3 outings, and these are numbers against the Rockies. They have good offense. The Giants, and, of course, San Diego in San Diego. So Ricky Nolasco looks for win number 13 as he continues to move up on that list in the National League.
The Cardinals are trying to move up on the Reds in the Central and catch the Giants in the wild card, and they're doing so with an outstanding rotation. They've even added to that rotation. But tonight, one of their stalwarts is out there. Adam Wainwright has been an absolute rock for St. Louis.
Well, this guy was a rock last year. He's putting together another tremendous year. He almost won the Cy Young last year. He's certainly going to be right up there this year. 6 innings or more, 21 of his 23 starts. He beat the Marlins in St. Louis. He's a mere mortal, though, on the road. On the road, he's 4-6 with a 3.38 ERA. How about this for Wainwright? At home in St. Louis, he's 11-0. So there are the leaders as far as ERA. Wainwright number 3. And look out if his club scores for him. Wainwright is 14-0 when his club scores 4 or more runs. So you try to keep the Cardinals down.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. St. Louis comes in here a hot team. The Marlins, of course, trying to regroup and crawl out of the wreckage of last night and the 3-game series sweep by the Philadelphia Phillies. Coming up here as the Marlins get ready to roll, lunch with the Hawk. A very special day in Miami. We'll give you a peek at it when we return. Marlins getting set to take on the Cardinals. moments ago, you could hear the Hawk coming into the ballpark. And on Andre Dawson night, the Hawk has landed. And we start our night. There he is. Great Hall of Fame smile there. We start our night with Frank and Niner. Gentlemen.
That is an awesome thing that the Marlins just did, having the Hawk coming in. It's Andre Dawson Appreciation Night here at the stadium, and nobody appreciates the Hawk more than a former teammate and a guy who works with him now on a daily basis at home game. You get to work with two Hall of Famers, Tony Perez and Andre Dawson, as special assistants for the ball club.
Everybody wants my job. I get to work alongside these guys, and hopefully the Marlins players, especially the young ones, can draw experience from us, because between us we got about 6,000 games played, so we're here to help, and these guys are really fun to work with.
As Mike Hill kiddingly says, we've got more RBIs in the front office than we do in our clubhouse, but that's because they're great players. Today, downtown Miami at the Four Seasons Hotel, the Marlins held a special luncheon for Andre Dawson. It was a great event. All the players were there. Jeff was there. Tony Perez, our own Cookie Rojas, was there to greet Andre Dawson. This, of course, just a little over less than 2 weeks after his official induction into Cooperstown. The Hawk was honored today. The owner, Jeffrey Lurie, of course, in attendance. And here's what Hawk had to say to the crowd.
My joy, fulfillment was just to be able to play the game, to make the most of my ability. And I was given an opportunity to do that. I can recall that in high school when I would fill out the vocational interest forms and I write down Major League Baseball player. And the counselor saying, okay, second choice. Thank you again to the Florida Marlins organization for this tremendous honor. My family and I are most appreciative and very proud to be a part of that family. Thank you very much.
I learned back in Puerto Rico, and I was so happy about it. I just got on the phone and called Andre. He didn't answer because he got too many calls, but I sent him a message, and I was happy, just like a brother that went with me on the Hall of Fame. That was great. It was very emotional.
It was just a big moment for him, and not just him, but for the community. I think everybody was praying for that, and it finally came true for Andre to reach his goal to be in the Hall of Fame.
I was a big fan growing up of the Hawk, and I got to see a lot of his games, and he was just an inspirational player. I love the way he went about his business, played as hard as anybody I've ever seen play, and I was a huge fan growing up, and I'm still a huge fan of him. And I just want to tell him congratulations. It's a huge honor, and you're a great role model and a great person.
That, I can only second those emotions. Everybody knows him as the Hawk. He had a family nickname earlier in life. They called him Pudgy, and he's anything but.
Anything but. I wouldn't cross him right now. At 54 years old, he could probably kick everybody's butt in that clubhouse.
And his bat speed is probably still there. Don't forget, if you want to see more on Andre's Hall of Fame induction and his career, join us tonight immediately after the game inside the Marlins. It'll debut tonight after the game. It'll also be on tomorrow before our Marlins broadcast. Multiple airings through the rest of the season. It was my pleasure and honor to travel to Cooperstown, do a little behind-the-scenes stuff with Hawk, and to chronicle his induction into baseball's Hall of Fame. It was a great thrill for me in my broadcasting career and an honor to be there when Hawk went into the Hall of Fame. Jeff will join us as well for Marlins Live postgame, and again inside the Marlins tonight, immediately following Marlins Live postgame. First, though, we got a ball game. Albert Pujols and the Cardinals are in town. Adam Wainwright, Ricky Nolasco, your pitching matchup. Rich Waltz and Tommy Hutton will have all the action coming your way next, right here on Fox Sports Florida.
Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Toyota, moving forward by AT&T. Find out what's possible with the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, rethink possible. St. Louis Cardinals come in at 60-48. And here is Tony La Russa's lineup. Felipe Lopez, the kid from up near Orlando. John Jay, the University of Miami product, is having a great second half. So is Albert Pujols. He's hot right now. So is Matt Holliday. Colby Rasmus, a solid season. Yadier Molina, so good behind the plate. Aaron Miles, a late replacement at second base. Tony La Russa likes to hit his pitcher eighth. That's where Adam Wainwright is found. And Brendan Ryan plays short and hits ninth.
Yeah, Rich, it's a lineup that Ricky's going to have to deal with. It's just a half game out in that central half game behind the Cincinnati Reds. First time for Ricky against the Cardinals this year. Remember, the Marlins had just a two-game series in St. Louis, and Ricky has not beaten the Cardinals in his career. 0-2 in 4 previous starts, so he looks to turn that around tonight.
Cardinals a Wednesday winner against Houston, an 8-4 win. Lost 2 of 3 to the Astros. Gave up a ton of runs in the first 2 games, but then bounced back. And Las Diaz says ball 1. As Felipe Lopez, the versatile switch hitter, stands in there. He can play all over the infield, and he's the perfect type guy in a Tony La Russa team. He's at third base in this ball game. He can play short, and he can play second. He can play it well. There's a strike. Lopez, John Jay, and then Albert Pujols. As Tommy noted, Nolasco has never beaten the Cardinals. His last start against them was in September of last year, and that was his only start in 09, so he really hasn't pitched an awful lot against St. Louis. But there are some hitters in this lineup that have some pretty robust numbers against Ricky, and that's obviously not a good sign. A leadoff walk to Lopez.
Well, early on, Ricky didn't miss by much. Look at those early pitches, 1, 2, and 4. A couple of them actually found the corner. So right now he's not getting the low call, the low strike from Las Diaz.
Here is John Jay. We got a chance to see him when he was just up in May. And look at the numbers he's got right now. He had an outstanding month of July. Runner goes, hit and run, swing and a miss. Hayes' throw is late, and Lopez steals it. Brett Hayes getting the start behind the plate, double clutched. And Lopez picks up stolen base number 6.
So the Cardinals, a little bit of a break on the hit and run, the swing and miss, but just a little bobble by Brett Hayes, and that allowed Lopez to steal it. So it gives you an idea how Tony La Russa plays this game and the things he likes to do with the guys ahead of Holliday and Pujols.
Jay shortens the bunt and takes down low, and it's a ball and a strike. John Jay out of Columbus High School, University of Miami. Spent last year in Memphis. He's always been a very good hitter coming up in the minor leagues, close to a 300 average in the minor leagues, and a 3-time All-American at Miami. Second round pick back in 06. Control has been something that Ricky Nolasco's been able to count on every time out. The walk to Lopez, just his 28th, and this is start number 23.
Yeah, so to see Ricky walk the leadoff man, that's a little out of character for him.
There's the bunt. Hayes will pick it up, and safe at first is Jay. Going to be a bunt base hit, perfectly placed. And now the Cardinals are all set up as Albert Pujols steps in.
Well, first and third with the big poppers coming up. That's not a good sign. Just a terrific bunt by John Jay. Tough play for Hayes. Jay with speed, and he just beats the throws. So Jay was just trying to move the runner, Lopez, over to third. And not only did he do that, he got himself a bunt single.
So here's Pujols. And obviously an enormous presence in the Cardinal lineup with Holiday behind him. An on-base percentage just over 400 and a lot of damage done in the National League. Ricky misses with a breaking ball, and he's one of the guys that has hurt Ricky. 6 for 12 with a homer. Holiday behind him, 7 for 11 with 2 homers.
Ouch. Boy, look at that. Active leaders. Batting average, runners in scoring position. Albert Pujols, in talking with him, he loves the opportunity to have the club ride on his shoulders and to take care of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Ricky gets a strike, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. And he has done a terrific job of doing that. The Cardinals last year won 91 games. They won the Central. They were swept in the division series by the Dodgers. Of course, a world championship in 2006. Tony La Russa in his 15th year in St. Louis. That one is absolutely crushed. Left field and deep and gone. A blue cedar in one of the deepest, darkest reaches of this ballpark.
Albert Pujols now has homered 5 of his last 6 games. He's on one of those Pujols tears, and that's a scary thing. On the year, number 28 for Pujols, number 394 in his career. Fastball out over the plate. Man, he crushed that ball.
So here's Holiday now. And the count is 0-1. Matt Holiday certainly is flourishing in the Cardinal lineup. The lineup that no longer has Ryan Ludwig in it. The Cardinals fortifying their rotation in that 3-team deal that sent Ludwig to San Diego. The Cleveland Indians, the other team that was involved.
By the way, the 3 RBIs on that home run puts Pujols in a tie with Ryan Howard, who's going to be out for a while now on the disabled list in the RBI department. 81.
28 homers. Holiday's hit 21. Ricky's out in front 0-2. I told you about those numbers. Pujols now 7 for 13 with 2 homers. And Velasco with a good breaking ball gets Holiday. PGI Fridays brings you the defense and a real different look for the Marlins tonight.
Yeah, a few changes. There's Logan Morrison, Emilio Bonifacio that start in center field. Chad Tracy with an opportunity to get in the lineup. Left-handed batting is Wainwright. Wes Helms back at third, and Brett Hayes behind the plate tonight.
Edwin Rodriguez, a tumultuous night last night. Spoke to his team before the game tonight. That ball had a little bit of English on it. I'm not sure if Ricky lets it go if it rolls foul, but he really had very little chance to get Rasmus at first. Here's a look from the Goodyear blimp.
Well, a good pitch by Ricky. He really fooled Rasmus. I don't think it goes foul. Either way, Rasmus has a swinging bunt and an infield base hit.
Where was the Goodyear blimp when we needed it last night? Yadier Molina now. 16 pitch innings so far for Nolasco.
Well, that's the other thing. It seems like we talk about this every night. But with the state of the bullpen, you're hoping, and Edwin Rodriguez is hoping, to get a lengthy outing from Ricky Nolasco.
Our friends at the Goodyear blimp. The hangar over in Pompano Beach. Just a short hop on over here. 0-1 coming. There's a lot of things to be wary of with this 3-0 start for the Cardinals. The fact that St. Louis has some hot hitters. We've seen it with Pujols. We told you about Holiday. Also the fact that this is an Adam Wainwright start. And when the Cardinals score runs for Wainwright, he is darn near impossible to beat.
When he gets 4 or more runs of support, he's 14-0 this year. So keep it at 3, and you'll be okay.
Molina's tough to walk, and he's tough to strike out.
Yeah, it's an interesting Cardinal team, Rich. They have played, kind of goes along with Wainwright, who's 11-0 at home. They've played so well at home. La Russa's club is 38-18 at home, but just 22-30 on the road.
Half game behind Cincinnati. With the runner on the move, a pop-up. Tracy is there, and Chad makes the catch. Tracy obviously can play on either side of the diamond. Was a third baseman in Arizona and also played some first base.
He was telling me today that overall in his career it's probably 50-50 between playing third base and first base.
Here's Aaron Miles. Miles, a veteran infielder.
Miles wasn't in the original lineup that Tony La Russa filled out. It skipped Schumacher at second base, but Schumacher's been bothered by a wrist injury. And so about an hour before the game, he decided to get Miles in there.
Cardinals always seem to find a guy like Miles. Runner goes. Good jump. That one's fouled back.
Yeah, he was a part of their championship season in 2006.
Remember, Felipe Lopez came here for a piece of a season, had success. Ronnie Belliard was a late season acquisition in the World Championship year and flourished for a month and a half. Wainwright's on deck.
Good curveball there. Ricky needs to get that. I think when he gets ahead, which he did to Holiday, that's why he was able to put him away. But early, the first 3 hitters, he didn't get ahead. That's a good pitch there.
Oh, 2. Hayes knocks it down. Hayes getting the start tonight. He came in late in the ball game last night. Was 1 for 2. He doubled in the 8th and then struck out in the 10th against Brad Lidge. Breaking ball, ground ball. Tracy has it. He'll get to the bag. But King Albert takes the first shot of this 3-game series. A blue cedar, a 3-run homer. South. Cardinals have a 3-0 lead thanks to Albert Pujols and his 3-run homer. Here's the Fish lineup. Hanley Ramirez leads it off at short. Cody Ross getting the night off. Emilio Bonifacio hits second. Logan Morrison in left. Dan Uggla hits cleanup. Chad Tracy gets his first start as a Marlin. Mike Stanton's in right. Wes Helms is at third. Brett Hayes behind the plate. And Nolasco hits ninth.
Well, as we've said, not an easy assignment. Adam Wainwright, not only 15-6 on the year, but he's 3-1 in his career with a nice 2.61 ERA against the Marlins. He has a good fastball with that 6'7" frame. Nice break on his slider and curveball, and generally very good control.
Hanley opens under 280 at 279. Wainwright misses away. Adam Wainwright, 28th out of Brunswick, Georgia. Former first-round pick of the Atlanta Braves.
There were many, Rich, who felt he could have won the Cy Young last year.
But many felt that he should. In fact, he got the most first-place votes in the Cy Young voting last year in which he was 19-8 with a 2.63 ERA. Those are his numbers throughout his career. Get me over fastball for a strike, and it's 3-1. He finished third, 4 points shy of his teammate Chris Carpenter, and 10 points behind the winner, Tim Lincecum. It was the second tightest vote in the history of the award. Fastball misses up, and Hanley's aboard.
Well, a good start because, as I said, generally Wainwright has good control. So he, with a 3-0 lead, goes out there and walks Hanley Ramirez.
Here's the defense for the Cardinals, brought to you by TGI Fridays.
All right, there's Matt Holliday, Colby Rasmus, and John Jay in that outfield. Felipe Lopez and Albert Pujols at the corners. Ryan and Miles up the middle, a couple of scrappy players, and Yadier Molina behind the plate.
This is a very good defensive team. Most of the guys out there are plus defenders. Bonifacio now, and a strike from Wainwright. Bonifacio getting the start. The Marlins giving Cody Ross a night off. Gabby Sanchez a night off. Sanchez has a little bit of a tender hamstring, but he was due for a day off.
And I think both certainly available to pinch hit.
And Bonifacio's in an 0-2 hole. Wainwright, not only as a starter for the Cardinals, but when they needed him in their march to the World Championship, he manned the closer role and did quite well. Slow chopper. They'll get the out there, and Bonifacio is safe at first. Miles making the play.
Yeah, and I think as a second baseman, you might not think second base to get that force, but the fact that it was chopped and Hanley had to kind of hold up to make sure the ball didn't hit him. And just by him holding, leaping out of the way, he had to slow up a little bit so Miles was able to get the force at second base.
Logan Morrison now, he gets his first look at Adam Wainwright, and Wainwright his first look at Logan Morrison.
A little different in these two lineups tonight when you compare number 3 hitters.
Yeah. First inning runs. He's given up 10. Marlins have some speed at first in Bonifacio, but are down 3-0. That's another thing that the early lead does for the Cardinals. Not only does it give Wainwright a 3-0 lead to work with, but for the Marlins, it may not totally shut down the running game, but it certainly diminishes it. Inside corner, rung him up.
Well, Logan Morrison can go back and he can say, I just got worked over by Adam Wainwright. That fastball comes back a little bit. It missed, but first 2 pitches he got ahead. It's close. He's been around. He's a veteran. He gets that call. That's just a great pitch.
Now Ugla. And when the Marlins faced Wainwright back in May, he beat him 4-2. The Marlins got 2 runs against him in the first inning. But that was it. He'd go on to finish 7 innings, strike out 8 and walk 3. Nate Robertson was the starter for the Marlins in that ball game.
Wainwright's earned run average has been in the 2s, mid-2s, or lower every month. And I think that is just an indication of the consistency that he's given to his ball club.
The Ugla's numbers against him. Wainwright, you back him up behind Carpenter. Now you've got Westbrook behind Wainwright. The rookie Jaime Garcia, the lefty, has had a very good year. Lopez makes the catch on that drifting pop-up, and Wainwright is through the first unscathed. Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas. Calculate your savings at GoodyearTires.com. There they are from high above Sun Life Stadium. Brian piloting tonight.
Keep it steady, Brian. Keep it steady.
He was nearly hit by that Albert Pujols home run. Adam Wainwright, who hits in the 8th position, then Brendan Ryan and Felipe Lopez. Goes after a low pitch. It's a ball and a strike.
Now, for most of the year, Tony La Russa has had his pitcher hitting in the 8 spot. He hadn't done it all year, though.
Ricky gets that breaking ball over for a strike. It's 1-2. This play open tonight. The Giants, the wild card leaders. The Phillies and the Cardinals a game and a half back in the wild card. But St. Louis a half game back in the Central behind Cincinnati. Let's check in with Allison Williams. Allison?
Hello, guys. Here with Ryan and Pomona from Jungle Island, part of the special tribute on Andre Dawson Appreciation Night. For the Hawk, they actually brought out a real hawk. Ryan, tell us a little bit about Pomona.
Well, this is Pomona. She's a 2-year-old Harris Hawk. She actually just came into Miami a couple months ago, and I've been training her here at the stadium last 2 weeks.
How much time, you were out here quite a few times practicing for this, right? A lot of dress rehearsals?
That's right. We've been out here with a live audience a couple nights, and before that we started with an empty stadium.
And the good thing is she doesn't get stage fright, right?
That's right. She's completely acclimated to the sounds and the smells of the stadium, so we could bring her out every night if we want.
What do you think the Hawk, Andre Dawson, thought about your Hawk?
Oh, I think he was quite impressed.
As he should be. She's absolutely beautiful. Ryan, you're obviously very good at training birds, so I have a question for you. There's a cardinal over there wearing number 5. Do you think you could train him not to get another hit tonight?
Well, you know, he is a bird, but, you know, there's only so much I can do.
Not those type of birds.
That's right.
Dang it. All right. Well, what is the toughest thing about training an animal or a bird in particular?
Well, one of the toughest things is just staying consistent with the training, making sure that I don't change anything that I'm doing, and making sure she understands what I want from her.
All right, Ryan, thank you so much. And Pomona, thank you for coming out. Can I pet her goodbye?
Go ahead, yeah.
Oh, she looks kind of tough there. Beautiful animal. Guys.
Great stuff. That was quite a moment to see the Hawk flying in. And a surprise to Andre Dawson. We will have Andre Dawson on during the 4th inning. And we'll get the answer, Tommy, to that email Tuesday question. Who gave him the nickname the Hawk and why he has the nickname the Hawk? 0-2 coming to Lopez. Ball in the dirt. Ricky Nolasco opened the 1st inning by walking Felipe Lopez. He then swiped second. John Jay trying to bunt him to 3rd. Put down such a good bunt, he beat it out. And then Albert Pujols hit it out. Way out. And Nolasco strikes out Lopez. So
nice
Ricky
comeback.
Settles into a 1-2-3 inning in the 2nd. Marlins down 3-0. The post-game show is Cirque Dreams. Frank Fort will be doing a trapeze act in that show, following a fireworks spectacular. See the Marlins battle the Cardinals at 7:10. Fans get a Marlins samba whistle on their way out of the ballpark. It's presented by New Era Cap 1-877 Marlins. Allison will have a trained hawk during the Cirque Dreams, and Jeff Conine will be juggling cats.
On fire.
Wait a minute here. Chad Tracy swings and misses. Mike Stanton and Wes Helms will follow.
That's our first real look at Chad Tracy. He had a pinch hit appearance, but then was pinch hit 4 in the game last night. So the left-handed bat in there tonight against Wainwright.
Played his college ball at East Carolina and had some pretty good years when he broke in with the Arizona Diamondbacks. He had a major injury, and he had that microfracture surgery similar to what Carlos Beltran and Alfredo Amezaga had, which is not an easy surgery and not something you come right back and start playing and playing well on.
He's had some nice years in the big leagues. Backing him up is Mike Stanton on deck with Tracy in 05 with the Diamondbacks, hit over 300 and had 27 home runs.
And he swings over that changeup. So strikeout number 2 for Adam Wainwright. And here comes Mike Stanton. Interesting to see how the rookies react to facing a guy like a Halladay or a Wainwright, and to see how the Hallidays and the Wainwrights react to facing guys like Stanton for the first time.
I think guys like the veterans like Wainwright and Halladay, they go after the young hitters with their best stuff and make that young hitter adjust to them.
A high pop-up sends Ryan out, and he makes the catch. Wainwright has the first 2 outs of the second inning, and up comes Wes Helms. You might see Chad Tracy get a start over at third base against a tough righty. Helms getting the call tonight.
Well, the Marlins facing all right-handers in this series. Jake Westbrook tomorrow night for St. Louis, and veteran Jeff Suppan on Sunday.
Helms takes a breaking ball down low. Marlins have now lost 4 in a row. Of course, the last game in San Diego, and 3 in a row to the Phillies. Helms hits a liner to center. Rasmus is there, and he makes the catch. That's the best ball so far off of Wainwright. Forces Network, broadcasting to U.S. Armed Forces serving in 177 countries aboard ships at sea, watching around the world: Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. Welcome. Thanks for all that you do. A chance to watch the St. Louis Cardinals and the Florida Marlins tonight. Cardinals a hot team. The Marlins have hit a bump in the road. Here is John Jay with Albert Pujols and Matt Holliday to follow. We told you the Cardinals lost 2 of 3 to Houston, but they had just come off a 3-game sweep of Pittsburgh, and they opened the second half winning their first 7 games. I think many people felt the Cardinals would, in all likelihood, win the Central. I assume that's from the Goodyear blimp. There's some small toddler that lost his balloon at the zoo. Hanley makes the dive, knocks it down, but there's no way he's going to get it. John Jay. John Jay, the Miami product, has 2 hits.
Yeah, you have to look at it this way if you're Ricky Nolasco. Those 2 hits by Jay, a bunt base hit and an infield hit. Rasmus's base hit was a swinging bunt and infield hit. So really the hardest hit ball was the ball hit by Albert Pujols. So if you're Ricky Nolasco, you stay in that same groove that you were in the second inning and make the pitches he made in that inning, because he's throwing the ball well.
The ball that Pujols hit, you have to admit, made up for a lot of those blue pits because it was absolutely crushed. They no longer do distances in this ballpark. But if they did, Tommy, I'm guessing that would have been about 440, 450 feet.
It's in that range of that ball that Mike Stanton hit in San Diego.
Ricky bends one outside, and it's 1-1. Not many people thought it would be the Cincinnati Reds leading the Central at this point. But there are Dusty Baker's Reds a half game up over St. Louis in the Central. And it's a 2-team race. Everybody else in the Central is well under 500.
And checking with the Cardinals, they have 6 games remaining with Cincinnati.
The 2 other teams that were thought to contend with the Cardinals, the Brewers and the Cubs, have really struggled this year.
How about the fact that Houston's climbed out of that cellar?
Yes. The Marlins play Houston coming up and still have 8 games left with Pittsburgh. On the last go, remember the called third strike on Logan Morrison. This one probably misses as well, and it's further off than the one that Morrison got rung up on from Wainwright. It counts 2-2. How exactly do you pitch Albert Pujols?
very, very carefully. You try to run it in, as Ricky did with that last pitch, especially with 2 strikes. Obviously, a big hitter such as Pujols, he likes to get extension and drive that ball. See if you can bust him in a little bit and then try to go away, but he's so patient. He doesn't chase a whole lot of pitches out of the strike zone.
394 career home runs now. Runner goes, Pujols fouls it back.
And with a guy like him, you can send runners because he doesn't strike out a lot.
This Coors Light Cold Hard Blast, in case you missed it. Albert did not.
And you know what? We get the opportunity in spring training because the Marlins share the complex up at Roger Dean Stadium with the Cardinals. We get a chance to see Albert Pujols pretty much on a daily basis and the amount of time and work that he puts in to prepare for the season.
Runner goes, ground ball. Hanley dives on his knees, throws, and got him. Great play by Hanley Ramirez to get Albert Pujols. Jay is at second, but Hanley gets the big fella.
Boy, this is just a terrific play by Hanley Ramirez. He has time because Pujols doesn't run that well and got a nice pick. A little pick there by Chad Tracy over at first base. So great effort. It's been one of those years for Hanley. He made that error last night in the 9th inning on a routine play. Hanley's made 14 errors this year. He made only 10 last year. I think last year he probably had better concentration. When he had those routine plays, he made most of them.
One of the frustrating things about last night is that Hanley made one of his best defensive plays, maybe in his career, when he went out and took that ball off the wall in left field. And threw out Carlos Ruiz at third base. That was an incredible play.
Chutes was trying to chug it in for a triple.
That was in the 4th inning. But then Polanco's routine ground ball in the 9th, with Nunez in trying to save a 4-2 game. Hanley had oodles of time and flat threw it away. And the doors were open. Holiday goes after that breaking ball.
Yeah, this is a play. First of all, you have to think about it and then quickly get out to left field. Hanley did both of those things. Then to complete it, you have to come up and make a good throw. He got some help by Wes Helms to make sure he blocked that bag, and Ruiz had a little trouble getting there. So Wes blocking the third base bag, kind of like Ruiz would block the plate. So nice play by Hanley. You never know in that 9th inning how the inning goes if Hanley does get the out on that routine play.
Holiday hits a fly ball tailing towards the line. Stanton in full flight, won't get it. Into the corner it goes. Holiday trucking into second. A run will score. Jay is across. And Matt Holiday has his 28th double of the season. Drives in his 66th run. And the Cardinals stretch their lead to 4-0.
Well, it's amazing. The two guys that came into this game with unbelievable numbers against Ricky Nolasco have hurt him. Albert Pujols is now 7 for 14 against Ricky. And Holiday, with his base hit, is 9 for 13, 8 for 13 against Nolasco. So the two guys that have hurt him have gotten big hits tonight.
Now Rasmus. So it's 4-0, and this is one of those nights where if Ricky keeps giving up runs, there's not going to be an early hook for him.
And also the Cardinals have hit that magic number 4 with Wainwright out there on the mound.
14-0?
Yeah.
Ball and a strike. Rasmus was in the Rookie of the Year voting last year. Hit .251. Pulls it on the ground. Tracy has it. He'll step on the bag.
Tell you what, Colby Rasmus has backed it up with a solid year this year.
Yes, he has. A better year this year. Molina, who has been a rock behind home plate for the Cardinals for so long. One of the great defensive catchers of his era. Always a leader in catcher pickoffs and throwing percentage. Leads all Major League catchers since 2005 in both those categories. 41% he's thrown out. And he has 36 pickoffs in that span.
You know, his average is down from last year. He hit .293 last year. But he has the ability to come up with big base hits, key base hits.
Probably the best defender of the three Molinas.
Well, he moves a little quicker now than Benji. Benji's solid, but yeah, I would agree.
And Benji's probably the best offensive weapon of the three.
Yeah. And Jose. He's kind of like Ringo.
Well, at least he's in the band. At least he's not Pete Best. The 2-1 pitch is lined into the seats and out of play. And it's 2-2. Their father, of course, was a great player in Puerto Rico.
What a great family. They have 3 sons, all in the big leagues and all catchers.
They all have World Series rings. 2 of the 3 have multiple Gold Gloves.
I've never been around Benji Molina, but I've heard teammates and other people who have say you couldn't be around a nicer guy and a guy who loves to work with a staff and get them to pitch the way he wants them to. That's his main concern.
Count still full. The Cardinals not only are scoring against Nolasco, but they have sent his pitch count skyrocketing. Another 3-2 coming. Got him. So Nolasco finishes off Yadier Molina, but the Cardinals get another run, and it's 4-0. School, presented by Metro PCS and Motorola. Sign up at any South Florida Metro PCS location or guest services at Sun Life Stadium. It's your chance to send Marlins player Josh Johnson to your child's school. Deadline to enter is August 16th. Participating grades kindergarten to 8th. Take Josh to school, presented by Metro PCS and Motorola. Cardinals have jumped on Ricky Nolasco for 4 runs and 5 hits in their 3 innings. The Marlins have not made much progress against Adam Wainwright, Brett Hayes, Nolasco, and Hanley Ramirez.
Yeah, and Wainwright has settled in after that leadoff walk. He's retired 6 in a row.
A lot of pop-ups in this ball game. Ryan gets another one. And here comes Ricky. Well, as Nolasco digs in, we remind you that Andre Dawson will be by in the next half inning. We'll talk certainly about his trip to Cooperstown. We have a couple of email questions to ask him. Nolasco takes a strike. There's the hawk.
I think Hawk just finishing texting you, telling you that he would be in the 4th inning.
Nolasco, a 1 hopper that Miles backs up on and fires on over to first. Full season ticket plans for the 2012 Marlins season in the new ballpark are available for new customers. A variety of premium seating areas are available. You can secure your seats in the new ballpark and call the Marlins ballpark sales headquarters. 877-411-2012. 877-411-2012. Hanley walked in the first. And that's the only blemish on Adam Wainwright's night. Wainwright did not win the Cy Young. He was third, but he did win the Gold Glove last year.
That'll give you a little idea to continue to scout Adam Wainwright. Yeah, he's a Cy Young candidate this year, that's for sure. Great downhill action, a lot of that because of his 6'7" height. And he'll throw that curveball just about any time. He has good command of that pitch.
Do you buy the theory that when there are two Cy Young candidates from the same team that they kind of split the vote?
I think that hurt last year with Wainwright and Carpenter. You know, the amazing thing about those two, Wainwright and Carpenter, we mentioned that Wainwright's 11-0 at home in St. Louis. Carpenter is 9-2. So those two guys are 20-2 in their home ballpark this year.
So for a team like the Cardinals, not just getting to the postseason, but getting home field advantage would be enormous. Hanley, a slow roller, and that's going to turn into a base hit.
Well, with the third baseman, Felipe Lopez back, he had no chance. Hanley with the big swing, not a good swing, but the result is fine. He gets himself the infield base hit. Lopez with good effort, but really didn't have a chance.
Gorgeous night here in South Florida. Great pictures in high definition from the Goodyear blimp. Bonifacio tries to bunt and fouls it off.
So right now, when you think of Cy Young candidates, you got Josh Johnson in the mix. You've got Adam Wainwright. You've got Ubaldo Jimenez. I don't know. I think Tim Lincecum maybe has dropped a little bit.
I think Tim Hudson has to be in the conversation. I know he's not up there in wins, but he is in ERA. We showed at the outset of the telecast the top three in ERA. JJ, Halladay, and that guy, Wainwright. Well, Hudson is right on their tail. He's fourth.
Now you might have to throw Carpenter in that list. Matt Latos may be in that list, but they're going to really be careful, the Padres are, with his innings.
Bonifacio going after a pitch in the dirt, and he fouls it off. The Padres open play with a 2-game lead over the Giants in the West. The Rockies are 7.5 back. The Dodgers have fallen 8 back in the West. The Dodgers are 6 back in the wild card. The Rockies 5.5 back. And they've got 2 teams between themselves and the Giants in that wild card race. The Phillies and the Cardinals, both at 60 and 48. Another pitch in the dirt, and Bonifacio flails at it. It's dug out by Molina, and he throws him out. 4-0 St. Louis. 4th inning. AT&T trivia question tonight. We flip the phone. Hopefully we don't drop it from the Goodyear blimp. Who are the 4 Dave Duncan coach pitchers to win a Cy Young Award?
Wow, so you have to go back the long tenure
in Oakland
of Dave Duncan as a Major League pitching coach is his time with Tony La Russa, the White Sox.
Oakland.
Yeah.
And St. Louis. Bob Welch, Dave Stewart. Did Welch win the Cy Young? That one is just inside the bag by the diving Tracy, and Aaron Miles chugs towards second. He's got himself a double.
To answer your question, yes, Bob Welch did win a Cy Young. Well, we talked about guys like Miles and Brendan Ryan, a couple scrappy guys, and Miles just gets this by Tracy. Once it got by him, at 2 bases all the way. And here's a situation with the pitcher hitting 8th. You know what Wainwright's job will be.
How about Lamar Hoyt? Was he on that White Sox staff?
Boy, that's a great name. Yeah, he did win a Cy Young, too, with the White Sox.
It's a strike and a throw behind the runner. So Chris Carpenter, Bob Welch. I'm going to throw Lamar Hoyt in there.
Hoyt.
And I think maybe Dave Stewart.
Dave Stewart had, what, 3 or 4 straight 20-win seasons.
I'll tell you, Dave Duncan caught some Cy Young Award winners, too, didn't he? In Baltimore. He caught in Baltimore, so I'm sure he caught one of their great pitchers. Probably caught Palmer. Wainwright takes outside. He caught in Oakland, so he probably caught Catfish Hunter. Did Hunter win a Cy Young in Oakland?
Not sure if he won his in Oakland or with the Yankees.
Vida Blue, 71.
So basically what we're trying to say is Dave Duncan's been around a lot of great pitchers.
Oh, absolutely. But the question is the ones that he's actually coached, not caught. There's the bunt. Hayes will pick it up. Ugla covering. And the Marlins get the out, but the Cardinals move the runner to third. And now it's Brendan Ryan's job to try to score that run.
Now, the other ironic thing about it, you have one of the most well-respected pitching coaches in the major leagues for a long time. And Dave Duncan was a catcher.
Yes.
He was not a pitcher.
Well, I think we've had this discussion before. A guy like Duncan, who has had such success and has had so many reclamation projects, guys that he's taken that were struggling in their career and he's turned them around, and then the Cy Young guys, why not a guy like Dave Duncan for the Hall of Fame? Why is it reserved for just managers?
That's a good point. I remember talking to Dave Duncan about some of his theories. He has many. It's not just one thing, but he keeps it simple. When he gets a pitcher maybe that struggled, he finds out what that pitcher's strength is. And then he works with that pitcher on that strength to just be consistent with whatever it is, be it a fastball. Okay, if your strength is your fastball, make sure you keep it away. Make sure you have good command of it. And he's been with Tony La Russa a long time.
Cardinals have Mike McDougal, who went to spring training with the Marlins, in their bullpen. Duncan trying to get him straightened out. That ball's hit well to left field. Morrison goes back to the wall, bounces off the wall and bounces by him, back towards the infield. And it's going to be an RBI double for Brendan Ryan, and it's 5-0.
Well, doubles in this inning by guys that you would like to see Ricky retire and then deal with Pujols and Holiday. But Miles and Ryan with doubles. That's the only area. It really hasn't hurt Logan Morrison, but it's an area that he's going to continue to work on, and that's the wall. He's going to have to realize when that ball, as soon as it's over his head and he realizes he can't catch it, to move back and play the carom off the wall. Right now he gets himself caught a little bit too close to that wall.
That was a nice courtesy by Laz Diaz, the home plate umpire, to pick up the bat and hand it to Aaron Miles as he crossed the plate. Take that back to the dugout with you.
He's a courteous type umpire.
Lopez has struck out and walked. And he fouls it off.
Yeah, it's amazing. People will say, well, it's a tough loss last night to see how you rebound. You throw all that aside. The bottom line is the starting pitching. And right now, Ricky has given up 5 runs and 7 hits. And Adam Wainwright has been pretty good.
Lopez goes down swinging, and here is a guy that has a couple of hits and has scored a couple of runs. A former Miami Hurricane who is having a really good second half for the Cardinals. And he's kind of the reason they were able to send a Ryan Ludwig away to get a Jake Westbrook in return, is the emergence of John Jay.
I think for the Cardinals, they like the fact that he's left-handed. Because with Ludwig, you had the righties of Holiday, Ludwig, Pujols. This way you kind of balance it with Rasmus, with Jay. Now you got the 2 righties, Holiday and Pujols. Yeah, John Jay hasn't hit a ball out of the infield. He's 2 for 2.
And that's something that the Marlins are hoping to do next year, is have a left-handed presence in the lineup. It's either been Chris Coughlin or Logan Morrison. Well, that one's out of the infield and into the gap. Bonifacio cuts it off. Jay's around first. Boney's throw is not in time. And the Cardinals are knocking Ricky Nolasco around the ballpark. 6-0.
Got a lot of Cardinal fans, a lot of John Jay fans here tonight. And that's just a sweet stroke from the lefty out of the University of Miami. Boy, he stayed on that ball well and then showed some nice speed. Bonifacio with a good play to get there, cut it off, get it back in, but Jay was able to get the double. Boy, 73 pitches too, Rich, for Ricky at this point.
Albert Pujols, the 3-run homer in the first. He was robbed of a hit on a diving stop by Hanley in the third.
That's that area where they try to crowd him. Tough to stay there consistently, because if you stay there consistently, he'll adjust.
Pujols 30. Oh, he smacks that one into the corner. Wow. That's going to score Jay. Pujols pulls in. Another RBI. Another extra base hit. Get 25 doubles to go with 28 homers. And now 82 driven in.
Pujols trying to make a pretty good point for his 4th MVP. And I would say, with all the numbers he's put up and with the fact that the Cardinals are right there in the race, that's certainly going to keep him right at the top.
The 2 guys I would think would be at the top are in the same division. Joey Votto for the Reds and Pujols. went fouled into the seats.
Yeah, it's a good point because you think about the Atlanta Braves. They don't really have an outstanding candidate for MVP.
The Padres have Adrian Gonzalez, but the pitching staff has really been the strength of that ball club.
The bullpen's been their MVP.
Yeah.
Which was the case, you know what, last night. Kevin Correa, 5 2/3. Padres beat the Dodgers 5-0. The bullpen, over 3 innings, no runs, and a shutout for the Padres staff.
And like we said at the outset, this is one of those nights where if Ricky gives up runs, he's going to have to suck it up a bit and stay out there. The Marlins last night got 5 2/3 from Chris Volstad, and they've had short starts from Sanchez and from Sean West and from Josh Johnson on Sunday. The last long start they had was Ricky's on Saturday in San Diego. Helms backs up, fires across in time, but the Hawk is about to land in the booth. By South Florida Ford. Visit SouthFloridaFord.com for great offers. By Checkers, little place, big taste. By Corona, kick back, relax with an ice cold Corona and lime. Enjoy a Corona today. And by TGI Fridays, celebrate summer with the new Caribbean menu only at TGI Fridays. Marlins in a big hole here against St. Louis, 7-0. But we got something that'll brighten your night up, and that's a Hall of Famer who stops by. Andre Dawson is with us. Hawk, how are you?
I'm fine, Rich. Thank you. Tommy?
Good to see you, Hawk.
Big luncheon today down at the Four Seasons. And then tonight, did you know that there was going to be an actual Hawk that flew in tonight?
No, that was a surprise. I was alerted probably about 5 minutes before I was asked to come out on the field. And started to perspire a little bit at that thought.
We had on email Tuesday, we had a lot of Andre Dawson questions. There's the Hawk, both of them.
Pretty good throw, too. I know Doggy didn't want you to short hop him either.
I told him I'd make sure I take a lot of it off this time so he wouldn't have to bend over.
A couple of the questions had to deal with your nickname, Hawk. And viewers wanted to know, number one, who gave you the nickname? And number two, why did you get that nickname?
That was given to me by my Uncle Matthew Napier when I was about 9 years old. And I used to work out with a men's seniors team. And they'd hit me ground balls and throw me BP. And he said he liked the way I attacked the ball when he would hit me ground balls. And he started calling me Hawk for some reason. That just stuck all those years. That was the nickname that he gave me, but my family nickname was Pudgy. Why? I was never fat, so I don't know.
Yeah, see, that now when Jeff Conine heard that on the pregame show, he took a look at Frank and said, "There's no way I'm ever going to call him pudgy."
Well, that's right. I have to tell you that I sat with Crow at the luncheon today, and he threw that out there to me, that was your nickname as a kid.
Yeah, good thing about the day, I'm glad that they didn't make that into a roast, because Crow would have had some stories, I'm sure.
There's a few shots of the luncheon today in downtown Miami. You've been in, I'm sure it's just been a whirlwind over the last 2 or 3 weeks. We were all impressed with the poise, the dignity, and your speech. There's a line shot that Lopez has. Ugla hits it well. For you, did it go as you thought it would?
I tell you, Rich, I didn't know what to expect once I stepped on that stage. Prior to that, everything went pretty smooth. You know, it was a lot of work, a lot of activities. Got to be a little time consuming, but in a fun way. And, you know, then came the big moment, and like, well, this is it. You know, all of the rehearsing is behind me. I literally put the speech in my head, but you never know how you're going to react when you get up on that stage. And like I said to the fans earlier, I feed off of their emotion. And I was able to relax myself and just say I'm going to talk to them as opposed to trying to deliver a speech.
There was another question. The Hall of Famers, as they sit behind you, there's a little bit of bench jockeying going on.
Yeah, that by the way in itself has to be intimidating.
Well, they really do a job on the rookies. You know, Frank Robinson was coming out of the elevator on Saturday morning, and he looked at me and he said, "You're not in yet." And he proceeded to walk off. Then Sunday morning, the same place, I opened the elevator door, and Frank is standing there, and he says, "You're getting close." And then the day of the ceremony, Ozzy, you know, was kind of ribbing me in the back. He said, "We're taking bets on when you're going to lose it." And actually during the ceremony, during my speech, I can hear him back there mumbling, "Oh, here it comes, here it comes." And, you know, they rib you a little bit, but it's all fun.
Well, there were, I mean, universally, the George Grands, the Peter Gammons, the people that have been to the ceremonies, that have heard speeches, your speech was a highlight of this year's induction. Just the way you delivered it, so much respect from those folks. And if you can hang around for another half inning, we'll talk about it.
Okay, Rick.
Andre Dawson. We'll see if we can get the Hawk to fly into the booth. Don't perspire anymore. 7-0. $5 footlong play hard, eat fresh, 7-0 Cardinals on top. The Hall of Famer Andre Dawson joining us When you were up in Cooperstown, was there a Hall of Famer that you got to meet that you had not met before, or someone that you had looked forward to finally getting a chance to say hello to?
Well, most of them I have seen or had seen at some point in time during my career. The ones that I actually didn't really get to meet and extend some courtesies with were those guys who were in the American League. Brett, notably, came to mind. And I just wanted to sit there and listen to all the jockeying. That players' dinner only was fascinating. I mean, to hear the stories and to hear how those guys actually attack each other, that was a lot of fun.
Who's the ringleader in that dinner, the players-only dinner? Or have you sworn to secrecy or some blood oath that you can't divulge that?
No, Frank was, Frank seemed to be the guy. Willie was struggling a little bit. He had eye surgery. And I didn't see Hank at the dinner, but Frank kind of walked around like he was the ringleader. And at that point, he finally welcomed me in and he said, "You're still on probation for a year." So he was the guy. Frank was a lot of fun.
Well, by the way, just the fact that Hawk's up here talking about Frank, Willie, and Hank is impressive. You said, tell us the story, talking between innings, when I asked you about how much more all the Hall of Famers told you next year when you go back, how it's more relaxing.
Oh, it'll be completely different. You get to enjoy the activities a little bit more. You get to kick back. You're not really doing as much of the running around like the inductees are going to be doing, and it's a lot more relaxing time for you. And they just said, you'll really see a big difference next year. Your room is going to be smaller, of course. You won't have the immaculate suite that they put you in when you're going in for the first year, but it's all good. And I told them, I said, well, I do look forward to next year.
Now, today there was that great luncheon down in downtown Miami, and oftentimes teams give players big, lavish gifts, a car or something. The Marlins gave you a very special gift, something that I know you had a hand in. Tell us about why you asked for something of this sort and exactly what it was that the Marlins gave you today.
We tossed around the idea, and as David mentioned, the material things are really not that important. I've always been an advocate of education, which is something my grandmother instilled in me, and I would much rather see someone with an opportunity, someone who may not necessarily be talented as a guy who's going to get a scholarship, but is a baseball player, but academically who is going to go a little bit further. And I just feel that, if I can have a hand in that and can see that they get an opportunity to get a scholarship and to pursue an education, then to me that's what's more important.
So an annual scholarship that will be presented every year to a baseball player who has good grades and might not be good enough to get a full ride somewhere.
Exactly.
That's a great idea. How special was the luncheon today, given the fact that you grew up in Miami?
Well, anytime you're honored when you're in your hometown, and I've been with this organization going into my 10th year, there's just a different feeling about it. Jeffrey has always been first class. David, I can't say enough about. And to come here to be amongst my family, a lot of friends, and people who I've seen around the ballpark, people who have come here who support the organization. That in itself was very special. It was a luncheon. It was very well put together. Jennifer from the front office, she did a phenomenal job, and it just, started the day what capped off to be a very eventful and exciting day.
Now, real quickly, I heard there's a little something Tuesday night when we go to Washington, D.C. with the Expos Washington connection. They're having a little something on you Tuesday night, aren't they?
Right. I'm not knowledgeable about exactly what it is. I've seen an itinerary that is going to involve a lot of pregame stuff, but they're going to honor me also.
How about the Cubs? They got anything planned?
The Cubs have a day planned for, I think, August the 30th, at the end of the month.
Huck, I've seen that itinerary for Washington. A lot of pregame stuff, but once the game starts, you're going to get to face Steven Strasburg. You're hitting third that night.
That's right. He's scheduled to pitch that night.
Well, I tell you what, this is a phenomenal arm, and I marvel at the fact that he's gotten the attention early and often, and he's one of the guys that is going to be heard from as long as he played this game. And it's good to see that you're starting to get a lot of fine quality arms that are coming back into the game.
Yeah, the year of the pitcher, they say. And by the way, if you want to see more behind the scenes stuff and all about Andre Dawson Hall of Fame, Inside the Marlins installment after the telecast tonight. So right around 10:30, we'll have it for you here on Fox Sports Florida. Wainwright hits a ground ball. The first, Chad Tracy takes it himself. Hawk, as always, whenever you stop by, it's always a good time.
We always appreciate it.
All right, Rich.
Thanks, Hawk.
Anytime.
All right, Andre Dawson, now a Hall of Famer. Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas. Calculate your savings at GoodyearTires.com. Let's head down below to Frank Ford. Frank?
All right, thanks very much, Rich. A big night for John Jay, a Miami native. Went to Columbus High School, University of Miami, 3 for 3 in his first game back here as a St. Louis Cardinal. Now, he said he bought about 100 tickets for family and friends, but also with the Marlins' help, set up a website that fans could go on and buy tickets so he wouldn't have to deal with more than 100. Of course, he was a teammate of the Marlins' Gabby Sanchez for 2 years at the University of Miami, but they were also high school rivals. Gabby played for Brito Private, John played for Columbus High School, and John says he reminds Gabby of this all the time. They were playing a game against each other at Miami-Dade North. Gabby was pitching for Brito, and John Jay hit a triple against him off the wall. He said, I remind Gabby about that all the time. And he gets really ticked off, but they are good friends and former teammates at UM. By the way, we'll have an interview with John tomorrow on Marlins Live starting at 6:30. Rich and Tommy, back to you.
Hey, Frank, later on tonight, to give fans an idea of what they're going to see on Inside the Marlins Andre Dawson Hall of Fame.
Well, again, it was an honor and a privilege to be in Cooperstown along with Andre to chronicle his induction. But we're going to take a look back at his career to kind of set it up, show you the kind of player he was. We talked to a lot of former teammates, friends, Tommy Hutton included, by the way, in that group. We talked to a lot of Hall of Famers in Cooperstown about the Hawk and their memories of him. And there was a real special event. You mentioned the Cubs. They had a reception for him on Saturday night before the induction. It was attended by such famous ex-Cubs as Ernie Banks, Billy Williams, Ryne Sandberg, who of course is now the Cubs AAA manager, and who had mentioned Hawk as a serious candidate for induction when Sandberg went into the Hall of Fame 6 years ago. And then, of course, we'll hear excerpts from Andre's speech, which, as you said, it was very stirring, it was very moving, and certainly one of the best Hall of Fame speeches that I've ever heard. So that'll all be tonight on Inside the Marlins. Rich?
All right, we look forward to it, Frank. Thank you.
That's going to be a good show.
Mike Stanton just walked our AT&T trivia question. Here comes the phone for Dave Duncan, coach pitchers, to win a Cy Young Award.
Let's see if we came close. We threw 4 out there.
I like the Dennis Eckersley. How could we forget Eck?
Yeah, I threw a Stewart in there instead.
And Bob Welch had that big year in 1990. Dave Duncan caught with the Athletics from 68 to 72. He did catch Catfish Hunter. Catfish Hunter won the Cy Young in 74.
Vita Blue won the Cy Young in 71.
Yeah, 74 was his last, Catfish's last year with Oakland before free agency took him on at the Yankees.
So he caught Vita Blue and Catfish Hunter in Oakland.
And he was a couple of years, 75 and 76, with Baltimore. And Palmer won the Cy Young in 76. Now, I don't know how often Duncan caught him, but I'm sure he did.
I think Mike Cuellar won a Cy Young award while Duncan was catching in Baltimore. But that's for our crack staff. Not that they have anything else to do in a 7-0 game in the 5th inning. There's Burke Badenhot.
And you know what? When you talk to Dave Duncan, he's such a private guy, quiet guy. He doesn't like to talk about all that. He doesn't like to talk about all his success as a pitching coach either. He's very low key about it all.
It's amazing what he and Tony La Russa have been able to accomplish. And you know what? When La Russa goes in the Hall of Fame, Duncan should be the guy that introduces him, because he's been by his side virtually his entire career.
Or at least be up on stage with him.
To my knowledge, there are no pitching coaches in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think there are any coaches. Or there may be guys who at one time were a coach, but not in the Hall of Fame because of their coaching.
I remember Joe DiMaggio was a coach for like a season.
Babe Ruth was a coach.
Well, this is very un-Wainwright-like. A walk to Stan, a walk to Helms. And that will certainly draw a little concern from Dave Duncan.
I mean, he's been cruising along. His club is giving him a 7-0 lead. He's given up just the one hit, the infield base hit by Hanley, and all of a sudden he can't find the plate. Puzzling even to Dave Duncan.
See Dave McKay there in the dugout lining up the infield. Red Hayes takes a breaking ball for a strike.
Crackstaff in with an answer. Cuellar's Cy Young was 69, so Duncan did not catch Mike Cuellar.
Good job, Crackstaff. He may have caught Cuellar, but obviously not in that year.
Not in that year. He's a power hitter. Dave Duncan was a good defensive catcher. He had some pretty good power numbers.
Wainwright puts away Hayes with a breaking ball. That didn't take long. Marlins schedule brought to you by Just for Men Hair Color. Cardinals tomorrow night, and it's a Josh Johnson start. It's a Jake Westbrook start for the Cardinals. JJ at 10-4, and of course the Major League's best ERA. We start things at 6:30 on Fox Sports Florida as we look forward to the Marlins. You can live forward with Just for Men Hair Color.
Well, that's the Sunday game, and then off on the road to Washington, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh.
Hector Luna is up there. In fact, after Sunday, it's 16 of 19 on the road. Luna fouls it off. It's 0-2. Giants in Atlanta tonight, and that game is delayed by rain.
Hector Luna, a Cardinal for a few years.
Busts his bat, and the line drive and the bat both end up at third with Lopez. There are 2 outs.
Some of the line drives that have been hit have been caught. Dan Ogle lined out. Wes Helms lined out back in the second inning to center. Even though that was broken bat, it did pretty well by Luna. And Hector Luna in 05, 64 games as a Cardinal, hit 285, hit 291 the next year in 76 games with St. Louis.
Phillies tonight are at home against the Mets. And the Mets lead 2-1 in the 5th. Crack staff is just going crazy now. Dave Stewart never did win a Cy Young. In 1989, he finished in 2nd place. Finished 3rd twice, 4th once. Kind of like Roy Oswalt last night. We were talking about Oswalt's numbers. 5 times he finished in the top 5 in Cy Young voting, but never won the award.
Ken Lee and Scott Hopkins, a big part of the Crack staff tonight.
Hanley out to left. Holiday is there, and he makes the catch. Marlins have 1 measly hit against Adam Wainwright.
Está disponible en español vía Zap y es presentado por KFC.
Oh, it's a pleasure tonight to be joined.
It's been a while.
Across the way, Cookie and Raul. Hi, guys.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Tommy and Richie, how are you?
Hey, we're good. We're good.
We're a lot better than this game right now. The Marlins are struggling.
But you know what? It's like when things are going your way, it's great, and the opposite is true. They've hit the ball about 3 or 4 times right on the screws and right in front of the defense. It's incredible. When it's going your way, it's going your way. When it rains, it pours.
No question. You can't give them too many runs, so it's kind of a ball club like the Cardinals.
Burke Badenhop comes in. Yeah, the Cardinals are a hot team, and I'm not sure how you're supposed to pitch Albert Pujols. We've been discussing that for 5-6 innings.
Carefully.
Cookie, have you seen many better than Albert Pujols?
Well, I'll tell you what, he's got to be in a special class. You know, some kind of a hitter with a great patience. He covers the plate very well, sees the ball outstanding, it looks like, and he can hit anywhere, no matter what pitch it is. And some kind of first baseman, too, defensively. He's a tremendous ball player, Albert Pujols.
I kidded Andre Dawson when he was over here. I said that some year down the line, you'll be able to sit in that back row and kibitz Albert Pujols when he's giving his speech.
That's true.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I read an article where they had some psychologists run some tests on him, and he was off the charts. There was no one better than him.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about his work ethic and how we get a chance to see that in spring training. I asked a scout a couple years ago, because really it used to be Albert and nobody else in that lineup till Holiday arrived, and the question was, how do they do it? How do the Cardinals do it with just Pujols? And the scout said, when your best player is also your hardest worker, he tilts the entire field towards his direction. And what he meant by that was, a guy like Pujols not only is their best player, their hardest worker. Everybody else sees that and has to really follow along, because if they don't, they have to deal with Albert Pujols.
Oh, when you have that kind of work ethics, and it becomes a disease because everybody in the ball club looks at him, the way he plays the game, and everybody has to go out and do the same thing that he does, prepare themselves for the game physically and mentally. And I think that Albert Pujols has done that and showed them how to do it.
Y este retazo pudiera ser 2.
Ugly to handle, and they get a double play. All right, guys, have a good show.
Thanks, fellas.
All right, you too, guys.
All right, good double play. It only fitting. We're talking to Cookie when the Marlins turned a nice double play.
Cookie turned a lot of them in his career. A lot of them in Philadelphia, a lot of them in Kansas City.
This would be a great saying in Philadelphia when Cookie was paired up with Bobby Wine. Days of Wine and Rojas. Double play combination.
We still see Bobby Wine in and around just about every ballpark we go to. It's almost like they've cloned him, because we see him so often. Ugla gets another. Hopper gets a
John
nice
Jay
inning.
made an out.
Yeah, he's only 3 for 4. Freeze cam Albert Pujols. Fastball elevated and crushed. The Frostburg Coors Light freeze cam.
Well, not Ricky's night tonight in his 5 innings. Gave up 10 hits, 7 runs. There'll be better nights for Ricky Nolasco.
There haven't been too many better nights for Adam Wainwright. I mean, here he is with a shutout, throwing a one-hitter in the bottom of the 6th inning. He's done it with an economy of pitches. This is number 70.
You know, the amazing thing, a win for Wainwright tonight, he'll be just 1 win behind Ubaldo Jimenez. And for the first 2 months of the season, it looked like Jimenez would be a lock for the Cy Young Award. And he has some competition now between Wainwright and JJ. I think for JJ, though, it's tough without the wins. These guys have the good ERAs as well, plus a lot of wins.
JJ has not had, number one, a lot of run support, especially over the last month and a half. And number two, bullpen. I think he's had 5 leads lost by the pen. I suspect that's not the case with Jimenez and Wainwright. This series and homestand closes on Sunday. And it's back to school day. First 5,000 kids get a Marlins catcher book bag courtesy of AT&T. Just like John Baker used to walk around the campus, the University of California in Berkeley. Baker used to have that same backpack.
Had the Cal Bears logo, though.
1877 Marlins. Got the Diamond Dash after the game. You have a special little spot for nail clippers in that
backpack. Yeah, right on the side.
Think about the places that John Baker has been this year. I know it's been a frustrating year for him with the elbow injury, but in the offseason he goes over to Iraq and gets a chance, along with Chris Coughlin and other Marlin front office folk, to go over there. And then just last month, the Homes for Haiti campaign, Baker went over along with Marlin personnel as the Marlins try to build that village over in Haiti, build homes for those people. I saw Baker the other day very eloquently talk about it on MLB Network.
Well, he's a very giving person. Certainly gives back to the community and to his country. And you're right, he would like to be playing, but you know what? He's just not sitting around and moping, and he's trying to get himself ready physically. But in the meantime, he's giving back.
Miles to his left. And Logan Morrison rolls out. Vegas just getting back to baseball activities.
And you know he wants to get himself back in games, to get to the point where he can come back and play some games. And then he'll work hard in the offseason, get himself ready for next year.
I wouldn't be surprised if he goes and plays winter ball someplace, just to get at bats and get back behind the plate. Ugla, sky-high pop-up. And Adam Wainwright is cruising with a one-hitter. Cardinals on top of the Fish. This copyright telecast is presented by the authority of the Marlins. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts, descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins. You know what? On second thought, have at it. Do whatever you want with this game.
Disseminate this.
Albert Pujols takes a breaking ball from Badenhop. Pujols, Holiday, and Rasmus. Hopper into his second inning. Pujols has a 3-run homer and an RBI double. Chopper to Hanley. And Albert is retired.
Interesting example there of how you can play that chopper depending on who the runner is. Hanley knows that Pujols doesn't run well, so he stayed back on it, got the big hop. If a speedy runner hits that ball, you got to charge that thing and get it on the first hop.
Holiday stands in. You know, Matt Holiday would love to get back to the World Series. He's been there with the Colorado Rockies. His trip to the postseason last year wasn't such a pleasant ride. It was his error with 2 outs in the 9th inning in Game 2 of the division series that opened up the door for the Dodgers to come back, win that game, and sweep the series. And that was an Adam Wainwright start. There were 2 outs. Cardinals were up 2-1 in the 9th in a soft liner. I think James Loney hit it. And,
kind of old sinking line drive.
And Holiday coming in misplayed it. And the Dodgers came roaring back. Won that game, won the series.
Well, he talked about his experience in postseason with the Rockies. He was the NLCS MVP in 07 for the Rockies.
Badenhop gets a strikeout. Here comes Rasmus. We were talking about balance in your lineup with right-handed bats and left-handed bats. And 2 of the left-handed bats that the Marlins normally would have in there are injured right now. And that's Chris Coghlan, of course. Now, he's been replaced by Logan Morrison. But John Baker would be in there against a lot of righties. I think the Marlins, though Ronnie Polino has played very, very well, the Marlins at times have missed that left-handed presence.
And I think that was a great combo last year with Baker and Polino.
Rasmus sees that one crawl outside. Young kid out of Alabama, Phoenix City, Alabama. He's 23 and has a very bright future. Very good defensively, solid offensive numbers. Has had a few injury issues, a hip injury in 08. Last year, he was diagnosed with a hiatal hernia, which is a hernia up in the esophageal area. And he lost about 25 pounds before they figured out exactly what was wrong with him. So he played sick a lot last year when he hit 251.
Struggled against lefties last year, but that's something he'll improve on as his career goes on. Struggles with that good breaking ball on the outside corner.
Badenhop catches the corner. Hopper 2 scoreless innings. Marlins still in a big hole here, 7-0. Cardinals and Marlins, you see it an awful lot in spring training, but the Marlins and the Cardinals don't play a whole lot this year. In fact, just 5 games
Yeah,
this
the Marlins, I figured it out. The Marlins actually played the Cardinals more in spring training than they will during the season. 5 times during the season.
Adam Wainwright against Chad Tracy, Mike Stanton, and Wes Helms. Unfortunately, the Marlins faced Wainwright in that brief 2-game series in St. Louis. And he beat him then 4-2. He's beating him now 7-0.
The Marlins will have 8 games against the Pirates this year, who they've yet to see.
Of course, the schedule in both the American League and the National League really thrown into a blender, so to speak, because of the planned U2 concert, which never happened. And they were supposed to play here in this ballpark as well. And the tour had such elaborate stages. They actually had 3 stages, one in the stadium in which they were playing, one in the stadium where they were headed, and one being torn down in the stadium from which they had just come. And so a lot of Major League teams have booked that tour in their ballparks, and to do that, they had to give up because of the stage. They had to give up, I think it's like 12 or 13 days minimum in a row.
Never realized that Bono would have that big an influence on the schedule.
Mike Stanton has popped out and walked.
You know what? I was just thinking, too, any telecast that gets Bono and Ringo mentioned, you know it's a rough game.
I'm still laughing at just the thought of Ringo Molina. 19,223. Little chopper back behind second. Miles, quick release. And a good play by the middle infielder. You can save your group money, provide them with an unforgettable experience at a Marlins game. Order group tickets online at marlins.com or call 305-626-SAVE. Ask about exclusive hospitality areas like the Beach Zone, the Legends Club Party Suites, and more. Marlins baseball, serious fun. Get in on it. Wes Helms has lined out and has walked. Now, is U2 going to do the concert next year? Because Bono hurt his back, right? Or did he have Tommy John surgery?
He's day to day. He's singing off flat ground right now.
I can see that one coming. I know you
too
well.
You set me up for that one.
There's Tank. You know, we talked at the outset how the Marlins were going to react after last night, and you made the point. The fact that they're facing Wainwright and the fact that Ricky had struggled against the Cardinals and did struggle again tonight, that has a lot to do with it. Helms hits a ground ball. Miles picks it up. But emotionally right now, this ball club seems spent. Here is tonight's in-game box score presented by Mass Mutual. You can see that the Cardinals have done some damage. The former Miami product, John Jay with 3 hits. Albert Pujols has done the heavy lifting. He's driven in 4 of the 7 runs. And in that 9 spot, Brendan Ryan has a couple of hits as well. Now over the Marlins side, the Hanley Ramirez base hit was I want to say a 40-foot dribbler up the third base line, and that's it against Adam Wainwright. That's how good he's been. Taylor Tankersley comes out of the bullpen for some work. Yadier Molina, Aaron Miles, and then Adam Wainwright. That pitch misses, and we check in with Allison Williams. Allison?
Hey guys, I got a chance earlier to talk to Edwin Rodriguez, and he mentioned the fact that he's known Yadier Molina ever since he was 17 or 18 years old. He said he saw him for the first time in Puerto Rico when Edwin was a scout with Tampa Bay, and they had an eye on him naturally because of his older brothers, Benji and Jose. And he said as soon as he saw him, the one thing that really stood out was his arm strength. And he said even back then, his older brothers would probably tell you that he was the best athlete in the family. They've kept in touch ever since then. Yadier sent him a text message when he found out that he would be the manager for the Marlins. And he also said he's one of those guys, and since he said it, I'll pass it along, that has to be careful about what he's doing. He always has to stay in shape and be moving a lot, because if he sits even for a month, he's going to put on the pounds. So he makes sure that he goes back to Puerto Rico. He plays in a winter league there, just DH and first base to stay in shape. But they remain good friends to this day, and I know Edwin was looking forward to seeing him for the first time. Guys.
Yeah, the great story about the Molina brothers is that when they came to scout Yadier, the mother said, no, you need to look at Benji as well. And the scout said, yeah. But they wanted to see Yadier, and Benji, they said, all right, kid, here's a catcher's glove. Let's see a throw. And that's how Benji got signed when they came to see Yadier.
I thought you were going to say the scout said, Yadier.
Hey, Allison, you still down there?
I am.
What's up with the guy next to you? Is this like dueling sideline reporters down there?
He just asked, he's like, I wasn't in your shot, was I? I said, I don't think so, but apparently you were.
Yeah.
Ask him how he's doing.
How you doing tonight?
I'm great.
You're having a much better night than we are, huh?
Yeah, we like this kind of outcome, or seeming outcome. I'll leave if you want.
You're fine. I can't throw him out, right?
No, but it feels kind of like that scene from Anchorman when the dueling news teams showed up for the big rumble.
Yeah, the cable network was, they were tough.
Yeah, the PBS guys were the scariest.
Anchorman reference, always a good thing to get in a baseball telecast.
Yeah, well, it's always trouble when you get it in, though, too, because you know what the score is.
True.
All right, nice
Little
job.
how now, brown cow.
Nice job down there. Here's Aaron Miles. Miles tonight, the last-minute replacement for Skip Schumacher. Tankersley misses inside.
They see Miles over to the right side now. He's a switch hitter. Doubled as a left-handed hitter back in the 4th inning.
Had some good years with the Rockies.
You know, bullpens are just, and I think the more and more.
Miles drives that ball to left center field. Bonifacio won't get there. Morrison avoids Bonifacio. Miles will have to settle for another double.
You know, the more and more we see the good teams, I mentioned earlier about last night's game, the Padres, and the same is true with the Braves in their win over San Francisco last night. Just out of the reach, Bonifacio couldn't get there. But they got to shut out the ball from Venters, Saito, and Wegman. Bullpens that helped out. And Jurgens got the win.
And as much as a lot of people have already started to think about, what 2011 might look like for the Marlins, I think one of the places that the Marlins will start is the bullpen. Because if you look at this year's team, and where did this year's team up until this point go wrong, the bullpen is #1, and that was right out of the chute. Last check, the Marlins led all of baseball in blown saves, and they blew another one last night. Now, obviously, a defensive mishap opened the door, but Nunez couldn't shut it once the door was cracked open.
By the way, 6 doubles tonight from the St. Louis Cardinals.
One pitch to Wainwright. Tankersley misses inside. Padres are in Arizona. And the Giants and the Braves are still delayed in Atlanta. They do have a window, they feel, though, a little later on. Stanton is back at the warning track, makes the catch. Miles tags. Number of pitches that the pen has thrown over the last 7 days. Remember, we told you the last long start the Marlins have had was Nolasco's Sunday start in San Diego.
Man, that's one of those subtle things that just creeps up on you and really bites you. And that's why you need to get a few deeper starts by your starters. Hopefully, Josh Johnson can do that tomorrow night.
And you see Nunez. The Marlins went into this ball game with Leo Nunez not available and Will Ullman not available. You know your bullpen has really been overworked and taxed when you're going into nights with 2 guys off limits, and that's been pretty common for the Marlins over the last couple weeks.
Yeah. I just got word, I think that window is somewhere in the Alpharetta Roswell area, north of Atlanta.
One and one. Ryan has had a struggle offensively this year, and at times it has affected his defense, and that's kind of what got him to the big leagues. He is a little of both.
Would you say that Brendan Ryan kind of fits the Tony La Russa mold of a player that he likes? Just a good player to plug in. He's a starter, but some teams he might not start. But he's a good, solid major league player. They can do a lot of things.
That's a knee-high strike. You know what? This is something that totally slipped my mind, and it just occurred to me. The man standing at the plate, the man crouched behind the plate, and the man standing in right field all went to the same high school, Notre Dame High School in Sherman Oaks. Stanton, Hayes, and Ryan. That's amazing. And here they are in South Florida in the big leagues. Tankersley gets through the inning. 7-0 Cardinals. He's been outstanding. A one-hit shutout right now, a Toyota trend. Since 2005, the Cardinals against the East tops outside of the East. And this season, they're doing it again. Though this is just their third game against the Marlins this year. Brett Hayes, the pitcher spot, and Hanley Ramirez.
Wainwright had a shutout earlier this year against the Milwaukee Brewers. Just a two-hitter in that game, 8-0 win. And this is going to add to that number we gave you earlier. Earlier, we told you with 4 runs or more, Wainwright's 14-0. He's going to go to 15-0.
Breaking ball, and Hayes sends a flare out to center. And it's going to fall just out of the reach of Brendan Ryan. He made a leap for it.
And now you think of the 2 hits the Marlins have gotten. That's the 3rd hit that Brett Hayes has gotten against Adam Wainwright. Remember that game in St. Louis that Wainwright started? Hayes started and played and got 2 hits against him. Big curveball off the end of the bat. So an infield base hit, a bloop, and that's been the Marlins' offense tonight so far.
Donnie Murphy is going to pinch hit. A blimp shot of a bloop hit.
Yeah, you kind of forget about the, once again, big base hit from Donnie Murphy last night because of all that transpired.
Murphy takes a breaking ball for a strike.
Yeah, the Marlins scoring 4 times in the 7th inning to take the 4-2 lead.
They knocked Roy Oswald out and scored those runs against the Phillies bullpen. Murphy swings and misses. So his pinch hitting numbers are pretty incredible right now. But not tonight. Leaders of the game presented by JM Lexus. Innings pitched most in the National League. Halladay, Wainwright, Carpenter. JM Lexus price bid is number 1, 18 years running. Go to jmlexus.com to find out how. Halladay last year led the National League with 223 innings.
That's another little area if you start thinking about Cy Young and numbers and things like that. Josh Johnson about 30 innings behind those leaders, and a lot of that's been his difficulty at times to go deep into the game with a lot of high pitch counts early on, and I know he'd love to do that tomorrow night.
Hanley hits a ground ball out towards second. One there. Relay by Ryan. Nice turn by Miles and Ryan, and Hanley bounces into a double play. Wainwright still cruising. 2 hits, neither of them hit hard. 7-0. Red Sox Yankee weekend as they throw down on Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Sprint. Returns this week at 4 Eastern, 3 Central. Red Sox beating the Yankees right now in the Bronx, 6-3 in the 7th.
And the Red Sox themselves are beat up a little bit, finding out that Kevin Youkilis will be lost for the rest of the year.
Brian Sanchez out of the bullpen. This was a Ricky Nolasco start. Ricky went 5 innings. Tough sledding. Charged with all 7 runs. And the big hits. Albert Pujols 3-run homer. RBI doubles by Pujols, John Jay, and Brendan Ryan. Felipe Lopez sends one real far out to center. Bonifacio runs it down.
By the way, so far, Wainwright has lowered his ERA now to 2.09. That puts him in second spot right behind JJ.
Here comes John Jay.
He had Halladay ahead of him, but he's jumped over Roy Halladay.
Tell you what, the Braves must have had a real surplus of pitching in 2003 when they traded him to St. Louis, because they also sent Ray King, a very effective left-handed reliever, and Jason Marquis in exchange for J.D. Drew and Eli Marrero.
Ray King was one of those have left-handed arm, will travel.
And will get you out whenever he arrives.
And will get you out and will throw all the time.
Bonifacio again. The weather has cleared in Atlanta, and the Braves and the Giants have just started. Tommy Hanson against Barry Zito.
You know, speaking of left-handers, we're talking about the Reds close to calling up Aroldis Chapman, the Cuban left-hander. You were mentioning his last outing in the minor leagues. He had a few pitches over 100. They plan on using him out of the bullpen because Arthur Rhodes has been used a lot at this point. I'll tell you what, they get a guy like Chapman. If he throws strikes, he's always had a tendency maybe to be a little wild. But with him and Arthur Rhodes, gives him a couple of decent left-handers.
That's a good baseball team, and they've got a lot of energy, a lot of young players that are coming into their own. Votto is kind of the headliner, having the bust-out year.
Jay Bruce, Drew Stubbs.
And a young pitching staff with Johnny Cueto. Edinson Volquez is back. 2-1. Pujols just keeps on hitting. He's homered in 5 of his last 6 games. He's got 3 hits tonight.
You know, believe it or not, he does go through stretches where he struggles, but this certainly is not one of them. I mean, you make a little mistake, you get it up. That fastball was up. The home run that he hit in the first inning was a fastball up. So a forward spotlight of the game. Don't pitch Albert Pujols in that area.
Sanchez now facing Matt Holliday. And Matt Holliday sends one out to left field. So a scoreless inning from Brian Sanchez. The bullpen has been good for the Marlins tonight. They're down 7-0. on top of the Marlins. Our Geico quote, Andre Dawson.
My joy, fulfillment was just to be able to play the game, to make the most of my ability. And I was given an opportunity to do that. I can recall in high school when I would fill out the vocational interest forms and I write down Major League Baseball player. And the counselor saying, okay, second choice.
That's good stuff.
I'll tell you what, that was a good line, and Andre Dawson had some terrific lines and showed his side, his humorous side, in his Hall of Fame speech. He had some very poignant things to say, but he also had some great lines and got a number of chuckles.
He's not a loquacious guy. I mean, he's not a real talkative guy, and that kind of adds to his mystique and his effectiveness as a leader. Tapper up the middle. Ryan out at first. Bonifacio, an 0 for 4 night. As Adam Wainwright tries to complete this ball game here in the 9th inning, Logan Morrison and Dan Ugla also scheduled to make appearances here. It has been all Wainwright tonight. You talk about a guy that has no-hit stuff. We saw that with Anibal Sanchez on the road trip. When Sanchez was in San Francisco and threw his one-hitter, the one hit was a Pablo Sandoval bloop hit. Same thing with Wainwright tonight. Hanley Ramirez pulled a little dribbler down the third base line for an infield hit, and then Brett Hayes threw a parachute out into shallow center.
Well, he's been around the plate. He has shown that terrific curveball. He had that little glitch in the 5th inning when he walked the first 2 batters he faced. And look at the consistency and keeping that pitch count low. Breaking ball just in under the hands of Logan Morrison. So trying to nail down his 5th complete game and his 2nd shutout of the year.
Count 1-2. Giants have scored first against the Braves. 1-0 there. Mets and Phillies in the 8th now. It's 2-1 Mets. Two. I think one of the interesting things about the Central as well is when people talk about the wild card and what division will the wild card come from, I think the easiest route for the wild card is the Central. Because from here on out, most teams, the majority of their games are going to be in the division. That one backs Ryan up. Morrison hustled down to first, and he's thrown out. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. New Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas. Calculate your savings at GoodyearTires.com. Do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I think so.
Because, I mean, if you're trying to come out of the West as the wild card, the majority of your games against Padres, Giants, Rockies, Dodgers.
Pretty good pitching to face.
All of those guys in the race. Arizona's not. If you're in the East, you're playing the Braves or the Phillies. Those guys, you got to play the Mets and the Marlins. The Nationals are probably the best last place team in baseball, really, if you look at it that way. But in the Central, you've got 4 teams under 500. Brewers, Astros, Cubs, and Pirates. And this will put a cap on a brilliant night for Adam Wainwright. His 5th complete game of the season. A real gem here in South Florida. A big hug from his catcher. That was something to watch, Tommy. not overpowering in terms of swings and misses, but just a master craftsman at work.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Coming into this year, Adam Wainwright did not have a shutout. He had a number of complete games, not many, just 3. So he's had more complete games and 2 shutouts this year, more complete games than he had all total coming into this year. So a tremendous year, possible Cy Young Award year for Adam Wainwright. And, yeah, he worked the Marlins hitters tonight.
Yeah, he looked like a Cy Young candidate and a real good one. The only checkers double we could find in the whole night are these 2 hits by the Marlins. And just seeing these 2 hits shows you how great Wainwright was tonight. Our checkers double of the game. It only took 2 hours and 23 minutes to play. The Cardinals beat the Marlins, shut them out in the first of 3, 7-0. And for the Fish, after a painful night, they've now lost 5 in a row. Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida, brought to you by Marooney. South Florida, when you need a car, truck, or van, who are you going to call? 877-MAROONEY. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 800-947-OCTO. Adam Wainwright is now 16-6. Marlins Live is next.